Oh, boy. Hello, little hiccup. How are you doing? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chess of Blades. Why does it sound so low to me? Is it low? It sounds low. It sounds so low. Turn it up just 29 should be good. Anyway, welcome back to Chess of Blades. Man, this game is just the best. I've never been so entertained by a game before since maybe Seduce Me. I don't know. Even this game is better because it's so crude. It's so great. I love it. I haven't opened my guide yet, but we'll get there. Oh, right. They were doing this. So Hazel, mischief, blah, blah, blah.
That's not very nice. I just saw you come over here and wanted to give you back something you dropped.
Her lips curl into a hurt pout, shoulders drooping slightly. I left off at a really weird point.
That was rather unnecessary of me, then. Sorry about that. Here, how about you take my pastry?
Don't take candy from a... As if I'd flipped some magical switch, Hazel immediately brightens up, all but bouncing on her toes while giving me an eager nod. I hand over the fluffy ice strudel I was originally very excited to eat before that fit of brooding ruined my appetite. Hazel at least looks like she'll enjoy it much more than I will. She starts happily munching away, a bit of icing getting on her cheek.
What about this thing I dropped, though? I don't remember having anything in my pockets.
Oh, right. Here you go, sir. I saw someone put it in your pocket while you were walking around, but it fell out.
Oh, no. Somebody's been wiggling around in my pockets while I wasn't looking. Blinking in surprise, I take the small folded piece of paper Hazel hands over to me, wiping off the crumbs that fell onto it. Someone put a piece of paper in my pocket? Well, it was a little crowded back back by the stairs. Maybe I just thought someone bumped into me. I unfolded it curiously, scanning over the contents. It's a death threat, isn't it? Meet me tonight, alone, the storage room with the king's portrait. I have a warning for you. Great. Feels like you just got punched in the gut by the words. My heart skips a beat. More like a heart attack, that's what it sounded like. There's no way. Was that the murderer?
Is something wrong, sir? You look a little funny.
Watching me with a concerned expression while chewing on the rest of the pastry, Hazel tilts her head curiously.
No, it's nothing. Just a bit of a strange message, that's all. You didn't happen to see the person who put this in my pocket, did you?
Hazel.
I love how they're dressed. They're like wearing suits, but they're also maids. Before Hazel can respond to my nervous question, a woman suddenly comes hurrying up to the girl's side, bending down next to her with a slight gasp. She looks older than me, but not quite Silas's age. The lines on her forehead, however, imply a sort of stress and maturity beyond her years.
I told you not to eat sweets after breakfast. And what are you doing out here in the hall?
The woman, whose outfit suggests she's a maid, chides Hazel softly while brushing off the icing on her cheek with one thumb.
But, Mom...
Quickly crumpling the paper in my hand, and stuffing it into my pocket, I clear my throat and bow slightly to the maid.
That would be my responsibility, miss. She helped me out a great deal by returning something to me, so I gave her a little treat as a reward. I hope it's not too troubling for you.
The maid, Hazel's mother, by the sound of it, looks up to me with widening eyes, then glances back to Hazel, who nods happily.
Oh, I see. That's very kind of you, sir. Little Hazel gets into trouble more often than not, but I'm glad that she's doing something helpful now and then, too.
She offers me a relieved smile, although her eyes study my face with another, slightly sharper look. Calm down, lady. It's not my fault your little girl thinks I'm her older brother.
I'm Emily, and Hazel here is my daughter. I'm very sorry if she's been bothering you at all. It's just exciting for her to be around so many people at once. I must say, it's a little overwhelming for me, too.
I nod grimly, very much able to sympathize.
Yes, there's quite a great deal going on here, in more ways than one. I'm glad Hazel's enjoying things here, at least.
Don't you like parties, sir? There's so many pretty outfits and tasty food and lovely music and the festival, too.
And murder, I add dryly in my head. That wasn't dryly, but whatever. Although even without the murder, I feel like I'd still be more than ready to go home at this point.
You're quite right. Speaking of the festival, I think I'll go out and catch some fresh air. Thanks again for your help, Hazel.
You're welcome, sir. Make sure it doesn't fall out of your pockets again.
I'll try. Hazel giggles mischievously, entirely unaware of how ominous a message she brought to me.
Oh, by the way, do you know where I might find the storage rooms? I, just thought I'd pass by them on my tour of the castle, you know.
That's not weird at all. My clumsy reasoning causes Emily to tilt her head curiously at me, her eyebrows knitting a little. A moment later, though, she offers me a slightly puzzled smile, nodding her head.
Yes, sir. They're on the main floor, down the east corridor. You'll find them if you head down the hall a little bit, I'm sure.
I inwardly breathe a sigh of relief, giving the maid a grateful nod. One day I'll figure my way around these social blunderings, although it may not be this day.
Enjoy the rest of your morning then, sir. Come, Hazel. Let's go tidy the rooms upstairs.
Yes, Mum.
Feeling slightly guilty for going out to the festival while poor Hazel's stuck inside, I offered the two a wave as we head off in different directions. I was like, who's we? In different directions, the trot down to the main level. The note in my pocket is begging me to read it again, just to make sure I didn't mistake any of the words. However, I'm almost certain that it has to be tied to the murder case somehow, which, considering how close the messages deliverer got to me, is more than a little unsettling. If I catch Hazel again, maybe I can ask her if she saw who it was. There might be a clue. So quiet. There might be a clue there as to the murder's identity, but would the actual culprit really dare to approach me if they thought I'd recognize them? It seems like an obvious trap to go meet whoever delivered the note, yet it might be the only way for me to figure out who orchestrated all. That's really a stupid idea, really. I suppose I can put off the decision until this evening. It's going to weigh me until then, though. Sighing to myself, I step through the castle doors into the outside, heading... There are bugs everywhere. Heading towards the chattering and energetic crowd surrounding the festival stalls. The weather is undeniably beautiful, and the cheerful atmosphere is enough to brighten even a sour mood. Still, to think that among this crowd there could be a murderer, that's enough to ruin just about anyone's enjoyment, I think. How ignorance is bliss. Totally. Stopping at a crowded stall, I peer over the customers' heads to glimpse the vendors' wares. Whew. They're all masks. Oh yeah, look at that. I like, let's see, which one do I like? You know, Riven, you look really good in this pink one right here. You guys can't see my mouse, I didn't turn it on, but this pink one, right in the front, yeah. That's right, I was going to get one for the masquerade ball. It's got quite the selection. Might as well treat myself while I'm here. I wind up buying a rather overpriced, but nonetheless magnificent mask. I thought I'll be going to another masquerade anytime soon, so I might as well make this one count. Oh, I got hiccups. Tucking the mask into my coat, I turn around and start wandering towards another stall. Suddenly I feel a familiar figure approaching me quickly through the crowd. Roguish features, dark hair, muscular build. There's no mistaking it. I instantly turn around and try to push my way through the throng of people to escape, gritting my teeth together. Damn it, he's not the person I want to see right now.
I thought I said not to start running around, kitten. What am I going to do with you?
Put me on a leash. A hand swiftly catches my wrist, and before I can try to pull away, Franz tugs me back towards him. Damn it!
Kindly remember, I'm not under some kind of
You're so
house
slow,
arrest.
Rivian.
Besides, what are you out here for? So much for trying to figure out who the assassin was?
Jesus. I mutter irritably at Franz as he lets out a chuckle, rubbing his free hand along one side of his stubbled face while shaking his head.
Calm down, calm down. Let's not go saying words like assassin in crowds. But before you start giving me that hurtful stare, you should know I've been looking around for information, not having a fun day playing at the festival. But now that you're here, and I figured you'd wander out eventually, we can do some exploration together. Our first couples outing.
When the fuck did this happen? When the fuck did we happen? I don't remember this ever happening. He's not even denying it. He's like, oh, whatever. With a dreamy sigh, oh my god. Franz starts to lead me through the crowd, his hand slipping down from my arm to thread. When did we become a couple? What? We're holding hands? What did I don't understand when this happened. I don't remember ever saying, I like you too. He's just like, you're in a relationship now and you're gonna deal with it. I'm just having so much trouble understanding this, and it's flustering me to no end. I feel like I just got thrown into a relationship that's not even mine. A sense of defeat sweeps over me, and I follow him along somewhat reluctantly. What annoys me most, though, is how at ease I feel now that he's back at my side. It's not like you can rely. What the fuck? You can really blame me. He's so tall, and he has that build of someone who can easily wield a blade or win in a hand-to-hand combat. I'm so good. Well, Franz's physique isn't any of my business, but if he's so insistent on being my de facto bodyguard, it's important that he's not flimsy.
Where
Nothing's
are we going?
flimsy in this story.
Are you going to win me a prize at one of the booths?
Oh my god, when did we become? When? When? Did I miss something? Did I skip something? Where was I when this became a thing? I glance up at him as we— oh my god. I've got something in my eye so bad. It's like a tiny person just flung something into my eye. Like the sudden pain just came at me. I glance up at him as we stroll along, feeling slightly self-conscious about our conspicuous hand-holding, but even if I protest, he'll probably come up with some ridiculous excuse like, I don't want you running off again. Well, there are worse things to deal with, I suppose.
I thought we'd go see the fights. What if our culprit is actually hiding in plain sight and is blending in as one of the jousters or brawlers? Assassins have to be good fighters, you know.
What does it matter? He wouldn't notice him anyway.
Don't be ridiculous. He'd have to be a madman to try something like that. Now, some of these vendors, they're rather shady.
God, you're such a lady.
Is your head screwed on properly, kitten? What kind of vegetable peddler moonlights as an assassin? Death by rotten produce?
Yeah. Why are you laughing at me? It's totally a reasonable thing. Poisoned, more like. Jeez. He has no imagination. We continue bickering about the murder's hidden identity as we walk along, our conversation turning into a contest of who can come up with the most ridiculous theory. The atmosphere is probably far too light for the gravity of the situation, especially considering how grave a danger Franz led me into thinking I was in yesterday. But it's difficult to stay on edge while we stroll among the lively festival grounds, trading quips, and for the first time since I arrived in this place, I find myself surprisingly at ease. Franz, too, seems more relaxed than his usual aggressively lewd self. He almost looks rather innocent as he admires the wealth of exotic goods and fanciful wares on display around us. I notice, however, as his gaze frequently flicks about, keeping a watchful eye on our surroundings. Oh, is this why I'm—
Boy,
is
Franz,
this— oh.
I was wondering, have you— hold on a moment, is that the boy from yesterday?
The little shit that ratted me out? Just as I interrupt our banter to ask Franz a question, my eyes are suddenly drawn to a familiar face in the crowd. Alistair? Wasn't that his name?
Oh, that one. I'm
Goddamn.
surprised old Glasses still doesn't have him trapped in his room. Who knows what ungodly things he's probably doing to the poor boy.
Can't be any worse than what you're doing to me. I shoot Franz a flat look at his mockingly sympathetic words before glancing back over to the young man, who's slouching by one of the vendors selling savory foods. He meets my gaze a moment later and abruptly bolts upright to stare at me like a startled deer. Well, he probably thinks I have it out for him because he tangled me up in the whole mess with Glasses. That's right, we're calling him Glasses now. Well, I'm not happy about it, but it really wasn't his fault. I'm mad about it.
Talk to him. He might have some important clues, don't you think?
It's possible, if you can keep him from scampering away first. Give him a friendly smile and wave, why don't you? That constant glare of yours doesn't excite everyone as much as it does me, you know.
Oh. For Rivian's done questioning it. He's done talking back. He's like, I can't get anywhere. What's the point? Attempting to follow Franz's advice while ignoring his comment, I awkwardly waggle my finger. You don't waggle anything at anybody! That is not how you start a friendly conversation. I cannot waggle at somebody and have them come and talk to me. You cannot waggle. Don't waggle at people, guys. Don't do it. It's not a good thing. He freezes for a moment, gapping at us. I don't know. Gaping at us with a petrified expression before finally raising a trembling hand to return the gesture. You poor boy. You poor child boy. I decide to seize the opportunity and tug Franz over with Alistair's direction. Got it. Approaching him a little cautiously so that he doesn't decide to bolt. It's like dealing with a feral cat or something, I swear. Hey, kiddo. When we get closer, I see that he's holding some half-eaten delicacy on his stick, nervously chewing on what's probably some of the other half. He looks so scared. Franz and I come to a halt, a little distance away from him, and a few moments of awkward silence stretch between us. Then, clearing my throat, I attempt to fill the uncomfortable pause with the most cheerful voice I can muster. Which is to say, not very.
Enjoying the festival, hmm? Good thing you aren't still caught up in all that awful business from last night, eh?
He winces a little when I bring up yesterday's incident. I probably should have waited to mention that until later. Another sublime display of socialization, Rivian.
Yes, sir. Truth be told, I'm here to avoid someone.
I'm so scared. Social anxiety, though, I feel. Just can't handle it, he's sweating. Alistair swallows, his eyes dropping down to his feet.
Avoid someone? Is Sir Four Eyes stalking you or something?
Franz's tone sounds somewhat more direct than I was expecting, as if he's impatient with Alistair's tentative way of speaking. Wasn't he the one who told me to be more friendly?
No. It's my guardian. She's going to be in a very bad mood today, I think.
Your guardian? I'm sorry, wait, what? He anxiously fiddles with the street food he's holding, looking rather unhappy. I have to say, if his meek way of speaking wasn't so annoying, he'd almost be cute in a mousy sort of way. Yeah, it's kind of irritating me as well.
I see. That's quite a shame.
It's a
Well, we won't bother you too long, but I wanted to ask you a little more about last night, if you don't mind.
Oh god, I ran over my foot! My tissues are behind me. I need my... Unless I get the tissue here. Fuck! There we go. There we go. My nose is satisfied. Trying to work my way rather unsubtly back to the main point, I offer him an encouraging nod and attempt to sound a little less aggressive. He shifts a bit uneasily, but doesn't seem as completely closed off as when I first brought it up, so I decided to take the plunge.
About who you saw going into the gardens, besides me, obviously, was there anyone else? People who seemed suspicious or out of the ordinary?
He has such a small ear. As I watch him intently, Alistair visibly hesitates, averting his gaze for a moment. Is he hiding something, or is just his normal anxious attitude? I can't tell, damn it.
Well, Rivian asked you a question, didn't he? Did you see someone suspicious, or didn't you? Or... well, surely you're not protecting someone.
No. It's not like that, I swear, sir. I really can't say anything. You have to believe me.
Wait, what? Franz's accusations make Alistair suddenly tense up, the stick of the food dropping from his mouth as he takes a hasty step backwards. Grinding my teeth quietly, I elbow Franz in the side, letting out a pointed cough. What?
No, we're not trying to accuse you of anything. Really, can't we just have a little chat about...
It wasn't her. There's no way.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
Wait, what? No, what the
Gotta
fuck?
go.
Wait, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Before I get so much as get another... Hello? Oh, another word out. The wide-eyed Alistair turns on his heel and dashes into the crowd at top speed. Jesus. Well, that's not a polite way to leave a conversation. I stare in disbelief as his diminishing figure until it disappears into the throng of people. Damn, he's surprisingly fast for someone so small.
So was that really necessary? If you had been any more direct with him, he probably would have soiled himself on the spot.
Jesus. Trying to glare up at Franz, I fold my arms over my chest, expecting a sheepish reaction. But instead, he just smirks slyly back at me, lifting his shoulders in an innocent shrug. The fuck?
Really? I thought it was quite effective. After all, he was so flustered that he practically blurted out who he was trying to protect. Her, is it?
Oh, well, I'm glad we know the gender.
I suppose so. If you hadn't scared him off, we might have gotten a name. The fact that it's a girl doesn't narrow it down a whole lot, does it?
Franz doesn't appear the slightest bit remorseful for even mildly apologetic. Or even mildly apologetic. So I decided to save my breath, chastening him... excuse me? And just shake my head.
I think not everything here is what it seems to be, kitten.
It's so hot.
Let's not forget that we're all playing parts in a much larger game.
I wish I
And
could take my
sometimes,
pants off.
If you don't attack your opponent while you can, you never get the chance to again.
Franz, take my pants off. Rather than elaborating on his statement, he instead reaches out a finger toward my neck. Excuse me? Tracing the tip horizontally along my throat, the gesture slow enough to be as much dangerous as it is suggestive.
Right now, your position's better than you think it is. After all, our enemy believes you have a clue as to who they are. We just have to use that to our advantage.
The fact that Franz refers to it all as this so casually as a game is more unsettling than it is reassuring. Sure, I love a good one-on-one every now and then, but not when it's when the stakes are my life. Is this truly what being in the court is like? He acts as if it's a normal occurrence.
Well, I sure dampened the mood, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Don't look so pale. I like you better when you're blushing. Come on, let's continue over to the games.
Okay, yeah, but when the fuck?
Fine.
Yeah, but when? When did this happen? When did it become a thing? Still feeling slightly sobered. Sobered? I follow Franz back into the main crowd, which seems even larger now that it's around midday. I gotta sneeze. Our back and forth chatter is a little less lively, most on my end, as we make our way toward the sandy-floored arena that is encircled by a thick throng of people. Can we stop referring to them as throng? Judging from the loud cheers, some kind of fight is going on currently. I've always found combat sports to be a little barbaric and rather hypocritical for nobles so enthralled with, I have the worst sneeze. Genteel manners. Maybe it's an outlet for their human aggression. As Franz and I push our way to the side of the ring, my eyes fall into two men taking wide punches at each other in a sort of hand-to-hand brawl.
Who's that fiery head one? He's positively giant.
Him? He's one of the king's favorites, I think. Doesn't take much to see why. He's built like a brick house.
Franz pauses, casting me a somewhat sharp glance from the corner of his eye.
I
What?
hope you're not getting any funny thoughts. He's twice your size, you know. He'd impale you from one end to the other.
How about you just shut up? My head is
Oh god, that's what he meant!
with vulgarity, unlike someone I know.
One end to the other. He'd impale him one end to the other. What? Oh my god. Wow. Wow. Chuckling smugly, Franz ruffles a hand through my hair, destroying the work I spent on my neatly and painstakingly groomed locks. I pursed my lips together and bear the indignity of it, deciding to focus on the two men beating each other up instead.
Do you really believe any of these brawlers could be our assassin?
He's so happy about it.
They seem a little too much on the burly side to not be noticed.
I think you're right. That boy would have probably called out one of them as the culprit if he'd seen them going into the gardens. It's a more obvious murderer than one with biceps the size of watermelons.
Or boobies the size of watermelons.
Well, he thought I was a suspect. So you should take his observations with a grain of salt, you know.
You're plenty suspicious. I'm sure a lot of people interpret your awkwardness as trying to hide something.
Oh. Great. His sour expression overtakes my face, but it's difficult to argue with Franz's point. Well, it's not my fault I'm not used to talking to so many people. There's a bit of a social fumbling all it takes to be thought of as shady. Father hates being around crowds as much as I do. Maybe he's just so brutally direct that it comes off as straightforwardness rather than acting suspicious. I'm not desperate enough to take a page out of his book yet. Maybe I'll hire an etiquette tutor when I get back home. I fall into my musings and practically zone out for the rest of the fight, which continues on for a little while longer. Only when the ginger-haired man squarely knocks out his opponent does the crowd erupt into cheers. He victoriously strides out of the ring with his hands raised.
I could have seen that one coming. Let's ask him if he might know of anyone suspicious.
Yeah, that's not weird or anything.
Oh, so Watermelon Arm. Why not, I suppose?
Sir Watermelon Arms. If he has a name I can't pronounce, that's his name now. We step our way through the throng of people. Can we stop? Like, how about we just say crowd? Throng just sounds odd. It's like we're saying thong, but with an R. Which steadily grows thinner now that there's a break between fights. The tall brawler is getting the blood wiped off his cheek by a clearly flustered young woman who is probably more than a little intimidated by how his hands are the size of her head. Look at that chest hair. He turns us, however, as we approach, eyeing Franz for a long few moments before his gaze... Oh, he's got blood on his hands. His gaze flicks down to me dubiously.
There's something you lads been eating. I don't take kindly to just being gorped at.
I'm sorry, Shrek, okay? Get out of my swamp! I'm so sorry, I don't mean to make fun of the accent, but that's the first thing I thought of was fucking Shrek, though. Donkey! His thickly accented voice bellows out deep and loud enough that it seems like it could potentially shake the ground if he were shouting. I swallow my nervousness and attempt to come up with some sort of placid remark, but before I get the chance, Franz suddenly clears his throat. Thank God.
Have you seen anything out of the ordinary around the castle by chance? We're looking into a little mishap that occurred recently.
I shoot him a sidelong glance. You'd better not mess this up again, like you did with Alistair. I have a feeling the results will be a lot worse with this brute, too. And getting smashed into Rivian-shaped bloodstain on the ground isn't on my list of plans for today.
Out of the ordinary? I've no clue what you damn nobles think's ordinary. Oh.
He pauses, scratching ponderously at his cheek. A grin rising to his lips soon after.
Yeah, now that you're mentioning it, I do remember seeing one of the maids scurrying around all anxious like inside the castle last evening. When I was paying a visit to a admirer.
I don't need to know more of that, thanks though.
I didn't think much of it, you two bears.
Okay, enough.
But I remember the lass had a pretty face, with big brown eyes and darkish hair on her shoulders. Looked plenty nervous, though.
And I told her to get off my swamp! Sorry. Franz's eyebrows knit together at the man's description. He flicks his gaze thoughtfully, to one side. Big brown eyes and dark hair around her shoulders. Doesn't that sound like Hazel's mother? No. She had red hair from what like dark red hair.
She was on the floor with
Like
the guest
velvet
rooms
hair.
then. Did you see if she was carrying anything?
Well, I weren't staring at her hands, but I reckon she had some sort of large cloth bundle. Something valuable, most likely. Yeah, she seemed awfully shaky for just now.
The brawler raises his mountain-like shoulders in a shrug. He's very helpful. You know, he's really giving us a lot of information to go with here. That's nice. He seems to be watching us a bit curiously, or maybe suspiciously. Perhaps we shouldn't attract any more undue attention by asking people such forthright questions. After all, we don't know who might be working against us.
I see. Well, you've been very helpful, sir. Congratulations on your victory.
Jesus Christ, you're so much smaller compared to him, Franz. Brisk but cordial, Franz offers a nod of thanks, to which the large fighter lets out a snort.
You're speaking as if it were an even match. Bah. Can't expect you lot to know about real fighting anyways.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I am Rivian of the Riviendale Place Palace. How dare you talk to me like this? Riviendale. It's a new place. Come visit sometime. Send a postcard back to your family from Riviendale. He mutters to himself in an irritated tone and turns away from us, shaking his head despairingly. Oh, okay. Franz, however, seems to have already moved on, as he beckons me to follow him back to the crowd. I glance between him and dismissive Brawler's back, debating on whether it's worth trying to pry more or answers out of him. But I have the feeling we've outstayed our welcome, and Franz looks a little impatient. Whew. Oh, should I end it here? It's already been 30 minutes and it's so fucking hot. I'm gonna end it here. It's another weird spot to end it, but I don't care. Whatever. It's fine. I really don't think I have anything else to say. It's been a weird episode. Every episode is weird when it comes to Franz. It's so odd how direct he is. It's so, ugh. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.